Viewers, since no other media has the spine or the guts to touch this very sensitive topic, here on India Today, obviously, we take issues head on. And here on 5 Live, I am going to show you parts of the propaganda videos that China has just put out on the Galwan incident. And I'm going to ask certain questions and you think of what those answers will be during this broadcast. I'm Shiv Aroor. This is 5 Live. Here are the headlines first. It's Khela Hobe in Bengal Panchayat polls now. BJP accuses Mamata Banerjee's nephew of visiting a Matua temple with shoes on. Clashes break out. Congress goes back to Hindutva as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra visits the pole-bound state of Madhya Pradesh, performs Narmada Puja. BJP brands the Congress General Secretary a Chunavi Hindu. Main accused in the UP online gaming conversion case nabbed from Alibag, Maharashtra. He would brainwash minors and ask them to offer namaz. Dutch YouTuber assaulted in Bengaluru market. Trader seen pushing YouTuber for shooting in the market. Cops take suo moto action and arrest the accused.
What's going on, sir? Could you please let go of my hand? Sir, could you please? Sir, stop. Sir.
Prime Minister Modi conducts review meet over cyclone Biparjoy. Met Department issues orange alert as storm intensifies on India's west coast. Over the weekend, viewer, China leaked another big tranche of videos purportedly depicting the aftermath of the Galwan clash that took place during the early weeks of the Ladakh standoff. Of course, you remember it. The videos, like all material released by China since the clash, have been carefully chosen to somehow suggest that the entire incident was a humiliation for India. Remember that 20 Indian army men lost their lives in that incident. China won't tell you this, but at least 40 Chinese army personnel also lost their lives. Well, the clips handpicked and released now by the Chinese government show injured Indian Jawans, including several in captivity, a recorded fact in India Today's reporting of the incident. Now, the timing of the release of these propaganda videos isn't and shouldn't be much of a mystery. China sees India's reluctance to play this video game as a weakness, and therefore selective leaks work well to play China's old familiar mind games. Contrary to China's tasteless, unprofessional and frankly adolescent release of video footage of dead or injured soldiers, the Indian Army has not released a single picture of the Galwan incident, nor has the Indian government permitted the Indian Army to do so. To many, including certain army veterans with an axe to grind, the Indian Army or government's decision not to play this dirty game is being attacked for the shallow purposes of domestic political point scoring, not about holding people accountable as they want you to believe. To others, the Indian Army's decision not to play this unethical video match depicting the bodies of professional soldiers is a decision that goes to the core of the Indian Army's identity as a moral force. Any Indian, including me, seeing these videos of bruised and battered Indian soldiers will be angrily wondering the same thing. If we have videos from the Galwan incident as well, why is it immoral not to hit China back and publish our own videos? Is it because the Chinese videos depict the whole truth? The answer to that, viewer, categorically is no. To veterans and others demanding an official version of what happened, let me tell you that I happen to be the only journalist to have interviewed the army unit that fought in Galwan, the 16 Bihar Regiment. Their account of the clash, the Chinese casualties on site, and the overall damage to the Chinese side is a matter of record. It is not source-based. They are on record about these figures and what happened. The Chinese may feel free to indulge in a scurrilous war of video footage crafted to play on yours and my basic instincts of fear and thirst for retribution. The truth is, after Galwan, viewer, there's only one country that constantly publishes videos about it. The other country, that is India, is totally silent. That alone should tell you who's constantly scrambling restlessly to muddy the truth of what really happened there and which country is truly embarrassed about what they faced when up against the Indian army. Now remember, in war, many things are black and white, many things are grey, most things are invisible and evaporate in a fog of war. Perhaps nobody will fully know what happened in Galwan, but the very fact that only China constantly harps about what happened there should tell you everything you need to know about which country has made its peace and which country is restless, anxious and insecure about what really happened in Galwan. Now remember, it's never easy to pinpoint just why China chooses to release propaganda military videos at any particular time. But the release of this fresh tranche of Galwan videos could have something to do with the Indian Navy's increased military posture and flex in the Indian Ocean. I'm just speculating, but it's possible. In the week gone by, India flaunted its 2 aircraft carriers, the INS Vikramaditya and the beautiful indigenous INS Vikrant in the Arabian Sea. Take a look at this pair of scintillating videos that the Indian Navy put out. Now, this mesmerizing footage is in very sharp contrast to China's continuing failure to master the capability of operating aircraft carriers. Like India, China operates 2 operational aircraft carriers, but according to a Reuters report, experts believe it could be more than a decade before China can mount a credible aircraft carrier threat far from its shores. Now, India's induction of its first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, in September last year, followed by an uninterrupted global spotlight on this exceptionally high-quality warship, could well have been a source of irritation for China, whose navy enjoys a far faster supply of warships, but of undeniably lower quality. And this isn't propaganda. Chinese mal, lower quality, it's true across the board. Now, the INS Vikrant has enjoyed endless time in the limelight for months now, thanks to deck landings by Indian Navy fighters, notching up its capabilities that China is at the same time working very, very hard, struggling to master. Now, not for a moment is one to suggest that China doesn't have a capability or that it isn't working hard or that it won't have the capability. And no light should be made of this fact. But in this propaganda world, China sees perception of strength on equal terms as strength itself. And in today's world, its aircraft carriers are a source of stubbornly dubious curiosity and embarrassment to China more than anything else. And amidst all this annoyance, the sight of India's 2 aircraft carriers in a stunning flex out on the Arabian Sea must have been the straw that broke the Chinese donkey's back. It may or may not have been the trigger that broke the dam of Chinese Galwan propaganda videos, but you can see where I'm going with this, viewer. The Indian Navy's exercise with 2 proud aircraft carriers isn't designed as a posture against the Chinese, but in a world where China sees India as a roadblock and a military force to reckon with. India's messaging and messages may not have any particular recipient, but all of these messages always land in at least one inbox. That's the truth about where China stands right now. I want to go across to India Today's National Bureau Chief Abhishek Bhalla, who has tracked the Indian Navy's capabilities very, very closely over the last few years. Abhishek, we've seen a lot of Chinese propaganda recently. Leaving that aside, this amazing footage that the Indian Navy put out over the weekend of the 2 aircraft carriers, this is not a small thing. This is a great deal of power projection. There's a great deal of muscle flexing. There's a huge amount of messaging going on as well. And I can imagine that this must have been a source of annoyance for the Chinese as well.
Well, Shiv, one thing that stands out about those images from the weekend when the 2 aircraft carriers were seen operating together in the Arabian Sea, along with their fleet, more than 30 aircraft deployed, it also sent a bigger message. And that message, Shiv, is how the message that is being sent from India's security establishment, that has seen a change. A few years earlier, you wouldn't have these kind of images, pictures, this narrative being set by the Indian security establishment. Rather, the Indian security establishment would be very careful in putting out these images, saying that these things should not be in public domain, the way we are exercising should not be put out. But that's clearly changed. And one reason that this change has come about, Shiv, is exactly because of what you were showing a little while earlier. The aggressive posturing that China does, the public perception that they try to set, and that's something that India has realized needs to be taken on, and needs to be taken on quite hard. And over the last 3 years, we've seen, be it images and pictures like the ones that have come out from Galwan now, every time something like this happens, India has a counter to that. And India has been setting out another message that this is not a social media war that the Indian military establishment wants to get into. It's a professional military establishment, but it will not allow propaganda to take over facts.
The importance of propaganda is something that perhaps cannot be denied. Information warfare is important in this day and age, but particularly when it comes to the Galwan incident, the Indian Army and the Indian government have chosen not to play that very, very unethical, zero moral game that China has actually played. And I see that perhaps as a message in itself. It's very triggering to see these videos, and I think join all fellow citizens in feeling angry and upset when we see pictures of our own soldiers being put out as the fodder of Chinese propaganda. But please consider all of the things that both Abhishek and I have just told you. We've reported on this incident. I have spoken to the unit that fought in the Galwan clash as well. Abhishek, thank you very much for that. The flex by India's 2 aircraft carriers was only part one of what may have triggered China. There have been numerous other actions and postures by the Indian military that may have had the same kind of effect on China, because it makes them look vulnerable and weak. I draw your attention, viewer, now to these pictures. Those are Indian Air Force Su-30 fighters flying very, very long-range missions, up to 6 to 8 hours over ocean, using refuelers in a mission that was designated a land attack anti-ship mission over the deep Indian Ocean. 8 hours in a Su-30 flying over the Indian Ocean means they covered thousands of kilometers. In a separate parallel mission on the western seaboard, out over the Indian Ocean to the Malacca Strait, was a group of 4 Rafale fighters that performed a similar kind of mission. They flew through simulated hostile territory, purportedly could be even Chinese fighters, and then conducted anti-ship operations in open ocean in areas where the Chinese Navy has been trying to assert itself quite strongly. Twin missions. You've got the aircraft carriers at sea, you've got the Indian Air Force armed with anti-ship missiles in the air, posturing, flexing, a message that is very difficult to understate. It's a very big, in-your-face kind of message to India's adversaries. And there is really only one adversary that is making its presence felt in India's Indian Ocean region, an area of responsibility, and that, of course, is China. And therefore, while India irks China, provokes China, makes China feel vulnerable at sea, China has to release propaganda videos on Galwan dating over 3 years ago, because that's all it really has in its propaganda kitty. This is not counter-propaganda, viewer. Take these as facts that I'm suggesting to you. Think about them for a moment. Now, while these ships are at sea, while India's warbirds are in the air, India is also scoring something big against China in another sphere, and that is weapons exports. Now, you remember in January last year, you may or may not remember, that India scored a huge export victory when the Philippines decided to order the Indo-Russian BrahMos supersonic anti-ship cruise missile. It's a missile that's built exclusively here in India with Indo-Russian technology. Now, after the Philippines, Vietnam and Indonesia, we now hear, are very close to signing on for this same Indian missile system. The reason? They've got territorial disputes against China, they've got reason to fear China, and they want a weapon deterrent to put China in its place. Take a look at this India Today exclusive.
5,
it's one of the world's most formidable anti-ship weapons, the supersonic BrahMos cruise missile, and it's made exclusively in India. And now, over a year after India opened its export book with a supply deal to the Philippines, more Southeast Asian countries threatened by Chinese aggression are lining up for the BrahMos missile system. India today has learnt that two more major nations, Vietnam and Indonesia, are very close to finalizing orders for this weapon. Both Indonesia and Vietnam have extensive coastlines and face security challenges in the Indian Ocean and South China Sea, where there are territorial disputes with China. The BrahMos missile's long-range and anti-ship capabilities can bolster maritime defenses of Vietnam and Indonesia and deter any aggressive actions in their territorial waters. Vietnam, as a neighboring country, is wary of China's expanding influence and power projection activities in the region. The BrahMos missile, with its ability to strike targets from long ranges, can act as a deterrent against any potential aggression or encroachment by China in the South China Sea. The BrahMos is in service with all three Indian armed forces as of now, with the Indian Army in the land-launched configuration, with the Air Force in the air-launched configuration from Su-30 fighters, and with the Indian Navy in a ship-launched version, as well as shore-based coastal defense variants that target ships at sea. This last version is the one that both Indonesia and Vietnam are now interested in acquiring. Vietnam's defense minister will be visiting India later this month and is likely to discuss and firm up the deal with his Indian counterpart, though an actual announcement may only come later. For Indian defense industry and the export push, two more nations acquiring the BrahMos will be a major boost, not just financially, but in terms of India's strategic partnerships in the Asia-Pacific in the shadow of an aggressive China. Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to bring in India Today's Gaurav Sawant, who's also tracking this, this development very, very closely. Gaurav, the export of BrahMos cruise missiles to the Philippines last year was seen as an, something that is of enormous significance, given China's actions in the South China Sea, Asia-Pacific region, and the Indian Ocean. Now, Indonesia and Vietnam. Both countries, that are watching China very closely. Vietnam has territorial maritime disputes with China as well, both wanting to sign on for this Indo-Russian weapon system that's built exclusively in India, sends out a massive message.
Shiv, this in itself is power projection. So you have one power projection when you have two aircraft carrier battle groups carrying out an exercise. That's power projection. And your BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles being bought by countries for shore-based anti-ship defense system like in Philippines is again a very major signal that is being sent. Indonesia wanting to buy it, Philippines has already bought it, Vietnam wanting to buy it. It's a very major signal that's being sent out to China. One, it talks about how good this weapon system is, and as you well know, India has the triad: submarine launched, ship launched, air launched, mobile launcher launched, supersonic cruise missiles, anti-ship, anti-war, anti-land. So, and the fact that you also have your Sukhoi 30s that have carried out a very major exercise, airborne for 8 hours, Sukhois with these missiles, again a game changer in the region. So supersonic cruise missiles, very versatile and absolutely accurate. India has been saying it all along. Other countries wanting to buy it is a major power projection. Shiv, if I also may, just for brief 30 seconds, you have Chinese weapon systems that are being bought by several countries, including Pakistan, who are complaining that Chinese systems are failing. Chinese aircraft, Chinese engine, Chinese weapons, Chinese ammunition. There are complaints that are appearing from different parts of the world. And you have an Indian system that is doing so extremely well that other countries want it. It's a good sign.
It's a show of strength. India needs to just keep at it and keep up with this, because it's not just the BrahMos system that India's put out in the market. There's the Astra system, there's the Akash system. There's so much that India's out in the market for the world to buy.
It's amazing because, and you know, I'm glad you brought out that point, Gaurav, of the difference in quality between Indian weapon systems and Chinese weapon systems. We've seen the Pakistanis struggle with certain Chinese weapon systems, like you rightly pointed out. But also, you know, Gaurav, you were in Taiwan last year. And you know, as we know that the Chinese have an integrated approach to everything. You know, nothing is disconnected from the other. India flexes its aircraft carriers. India is selling BrahMos missiles to Vietnam and Indonesia. And China, meanwhile, will try and release, you know, selectively edited video footage from the Galwan incident. You know, as someone who looked at this very closely, as one of the few journalists who actually visited Taiwan, what do you make of this? Are we wrong in piecing all these things together? Because this appears to be how China works, Gaurav.
Shiv, China actually is behaving like a bully, like an expansionist force, hoping that the other country would be bullied. In the past, often we did get bullied. Here, there is a very strong counter reaction to Chinese bullying tactics, whether it was the action that took place post Galwan. You know, perhaps at an appropriate moment, India also has pictures, and perhaps India will also put out pictures that will be hugely embarrassing for Xi Jinping and the attitude that China displays. But if we were also to talk about Taiwan, China has two major Achilles heels, you know, apart from the situation in Tibet. Each Chinese submarine that comes out, Taiwan keeps a hawk eye, because those are very shallow waters, and there is an eye that's kept on China. Point one. Point two, Malacca Straits. Again, this is where China is extremely vulnerable. So all of China's muscle flex in the Himalayas gets countered here. That is what China is trying to counter, and maybe in a position to counter in the next, you know, 2 decades or so. But right now, India dominates the Indian Ocean region, and this is where India needs to once again work on that advantage to ensure that India's dominance stays. Carrying out joint exercises with countries like Australia, Japan and the United States of America is again a very effective counterbalance to China's expansionism. And this is where China's nervousness shows, releasing these pictures now, and perhaps in the run-up to 2024 elections, you will see a lot more psyops from the Chinese side. But there are effective countermeasures that India also takes with these 2 carrier battle group exercises, with selling weapons and systems to countries like Philippines in the past, and Indonesia and Vietnam showing interest, and a lot more that we will know in the times to come, Shiv.
Many, many challenges ahead. But on this, I think it's very clear. One side is a professional army. The other side governed by, you know, I don't know, adolescent, insecure leadership that feels the need to put out images of bruised professional soldiers. It tells you the difference between the two sides. It tells you the contrast between the military ethos of the Chinese and the military ethos of the Indian army. And I think that is something that not just people in India and China are looking at very closely, but also people all around the world. Remember, the Ladakh military standoff has been on for over 3 years now. Gaurav has reported from the Ladakh standoff as well. And everything you see happen at this point of time is a fallout of what began in this month in 2020. Gaurav, thank you very much for joining us on the latest on that story. Remember, once again, India Today, the only channel with the spine and the guts to put out this propaganda, question it, put it into perspective, debunk it, and tell you why it's actually happening. We do know that we've got viewers in China as well, and all of them will have watched this broadcast. Very quick break. On the other side, a very ugly episode from the streets of Bengaluru, where a European YouTuber was assaulted in a crowded market. What happened? What did he do?
Hello. What's going on, sir? Could you please?
Is there enough understanding of lifestyle diseases? That's the big question.
The only news channel to focus on what matters the most, and that is your health. India's news TV industry's only health show. India Today's relentless effort to bring to you the best reports and the best medical and wellness experts on health, lifestyle, wellness and more. Watch Health 360 with Sneha Mordani at these times, only on India Today.
A very ugly episode involving a European YouTuber or vlogger on the streets of Bengaluru in a crowded market have gone completely viral. Video footage of this young Dutch vlogger being attacked in Chickpet in Bengaluru is only the latest such incident. It doesn't happen very often. Let me be very, very clear about that. But also reminds one of this particular video of a young Korean YouTuber who was heckled and harassed in Mumbai and in Rajasthan earlier last year. So 2 incidents in a span of a year is too many as far as India is concerned. This is supposed to be a country that is welcoming to outsiders, friendly to outsiders, a great place for tourism, travel, and especially for people making YouTube videos about what an amazing country this is. Here's the story of what happened to this Dutch YouTuber in Bangalore.
Namaste. Hey people, here from Bangalore on a Sunday morning.
This is how Dutch vlogger Petro Mota kicked off his Bengaluru edition with much enthusiasm and all smiles.
Namaskar. Namaste. Namaskar.
Yeah, namaskar. Ye kya hai ye?
Hello. Hello. What's going on, sir? Could you please let go of my hand?
Moments later, in a shocking turn of events, he was manhandled rudely by a shopkeeper in the city's Chickpet area. Pedro's arm was twisted even as he respectfully greeted the vendor,
Namaste. Namaskar.
Nawab Hayat Sharif, with a namaskara.
What's going on, sir? Could you please let go of my hand? Sir, could you please? Sir, stop. Sir. Sir, Jesus Christ, let go of my hand, man.
Pedro managed to escape unhurt from the clutches of Sharif, who has now been arrested by the Bengaluru police.
Guy was holding on to my thumb, man. I'm pulling it. Jesus Christ. I shit you not, trying to break my finger, bro. My thumb. Jesus Christ.
Pedro is later seen in the vlog greeting a group of people with chants of Jai Shri Ram.
Oh, I can see. Namaste. Jai Shri Ram. It makes me happy to see smiling faces. Trust me, today I'm very happy with smiling faces. Have a good day. What's going on, sir?
Activist Brinda Adige has condemned the assault on Pedro, calling it totally unacceptable.
This is absolutely unacceptable, maligning the image of Bengaluru because of a blogger who's going around talking about Bengaluru, its geography, its people, and whatever is happening over there. And we are a nation and a state that welcomes guests. What right have these traders to heckle or harass anybody, whether it is a tourist or a foreigner or anybody over there?
This is not the first time international content creators have faced harassment on the streets of India. It's high time we take Atiti Devo Bhava very seriously.
Sir, stop.
With Sagai Raj in Chickpet, Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
Whoa.
Let's go straight across to India Today's Sagai Raj for more on this. Sagai, this video went completely viral. Most people are kind of confused about, what really happened. Why did that shopkeeper get so angry? Why did he, manhandle this YouTuber? I mean, he's been arrested. He's obviously in quite a bit of trouble because this video has gone completely viral. But just explain to us what happened. Why did he get so angry?
Shiv, we went to Chikpet. We were trying to talk to people about this entire incident. And according to police, this particular incident happened 2 months back. But this vlogger had posted only yesterday night. And after he posted this particular video, which has gone viral. And we were talking to a few vendors over there in that particular area. If you notice that when the video begins, when this vlogger begins his video, he says that he is trying to enter Chor Bazaar. According to him, it is a Chor Bazaar where you get all the stolen products to be sold in that particular place. And according to the vendors over there, they are backing this man who has been arrested. They say that how it can be a Chor Bazaar. It is not a Chor Bazaar. Even if you Google and see that which is a Chor Bazaar, then it directly goes to Bengaluru Sunday Bazaar, which is also been called as a Chor Bazaar. So they are making a brand as Chor Bazaar whenever they visit this particular bazaar, which is a special bazaar. Only you have it on Sunday. So they claim that it is damaging our image in Bengaluru as well as amongst the public. And even this particular bazaar has been called as Chor Bazaar, which is also damaging the personality of the person whoever is selling those products. So probably they are trying to justify that whatever he was trying to do was right, because he is snatching his phone without his permission. They cannot shoot. Even if you go to abroad countries, he cannot do. But the question is, nobody have any right to do this. You have a system, you have a police, you have a law here in the country. You have to go according to that. You have to follow the law, and you cannot take the law in their hand. No matter however they justify, the people have criticized this particular move, where the country treats his neighbors as Atithi Devo Bhava, and this particular action is not accepted.
What kind of trouble, one final question, Sagai, what kind of trouble is this trader in? You know, he's been booked, he's been arrested. What kind of trouble is he in? I mean, yes, you know, it's an ugly episode, but, you know, arrest and, you know, putting him away for a few days, that seems a little excessive. What kind of trouble is he in?
Sir, Jesus Christ, let go of my hand, man.
So he's been booked under Karnataka Police Act 92. He's not been booked under any IPC section. They have booked under Karnataka Police Act 92, and even the Police Commissioner of Bengaluru, Dayanand, has assured that they will not spare these kind of action in the city of Bengaluru, and whoever gets involved in these kind of activities will be handled with stringent law. He said that he will not spare them. They are investigating. They are trying to find out what was his intention when he was trying to snatch the phone when he was shooting in Chikpet. So it is all subject to investigation. As of now, he has been arrested under Karnataka Police Act 92.
Okay, Sagai, thanks very much for that. We'll keep a track of that. We tried to get this YouTuber onto our channel, but his phone is switched off for the moment. So we hear back from him. We'll try and get you his side of what happened as well in a short while from now. Meanwhile, one of the biggest stories of the day, and India Today broke it earlier. We want to get you an update on it. Information of hundreds of thousands of Indians, it was reported, had been leaked on Telegram from the CoWIN app. That is, people who had been COVID-19 vaccinated, their personal details, Aadhaar card, addresses, PAN card numbers, you know, other information had all been leaked online. Well, crucial information, including their IDs, you know, dates of vaccination, etc., had allegedly been compromised from the government's CoWIN app. Well, now government officials have rejected claims that the data was hacked from the CoWIN app. Reports suggest that information from other platforms was compromised, and it was not the CoWIN portal that had actually been hacked. In fact, India Today has also tracked down the Telegram bot behind this alleged breach of personal information of Indian Indian citizens who had received the COVID-19 vaccine. This bot is behind the breach. The hacker says did not breach CoWIN. The hacker says found loopholes in other platforms. The Telegram chatbot has been disabled since early this morning. So the government has said it, the bot, you know, India Today has tracked down the bot, which suggests that this wasn't the CoWIN app or the CoWIN portal that was hacked. It was other platforms where this information was stored. that had apparently been hacked, and the nature of the information is also being questioned at this time by the government. This Telegram chatbot has been disabled since early this morning. Let's go across to India Today's Sneha Mordani for more. Sneha, break it down for us. Has information been breached or not? And if not, then what is this all about?
Well, lack of clarity on that front on whether CoWIN was actually breached or not, because I can tell you, Shiv, that the hacker says that CoWIN wasn't really breached. But what it appears to me from what the government of India, in fact, the government has said, the Ministry of Electronics and Technology has indicated clearly that there was some sort of an indirect breach. Now, the fact is that information, including that, interestingly, of opposition leaders like Sanjay Raut, B. Chidambaram, for example, all of the data was there available online in the form of screenshots. There are a lot of people with their phone numbers, with their PAN card, Aadhaar details, all of that was put out. A bit of a contradiction, because the Health Ministry says all of this is mischievous period. Nothing happened. But the Ministry of Electronics and Technology indicates that yes, there has been some sort of an indirect breach. We are waiting to get a sense from the CERT on what really happened. The matter has been referred already to the Computer Emergency Department of the Government of India. But the fact is that questions will now be further raised. If you remember, when CoWIN was first launched in the month of January in the year 2021, even at that point in time, everybody questioned about why is there no data policy yet? And this is a big gamble that we are all, getting ourselves into in terms of giving out our data. The government has acknowledged that the national policy on data is ready, and that is going to help solve a lot of these problems. But this obviously does not, do much in terms of building confidence in people as far as sharing the data is concerned.
Most definitely, some unanswered questions there. Where did this information come from if it wasn't from CoWIN? Lack of clarity there, but we'll try and get more on that. Sneha, thanks very much for that. Pramod Tiwari of the Congress Party has just spoken out on this alleged data breach. Listen in to what he said.
कांग्रेस ने जो आशंका व्यक्त की थी वो सही साबित हो गई। निजता का अधिकार भारत का संविधान हमें देता है, और आप उसी हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी ये ऑब्जर्वेशन दिया था आज के चीफ जस्टिस कि निजता का अधिकार होना चाहिए। अब आपने कोयला बेच दिया, रेल बेच दी, खेल बेच दिया, एयरपोर्ट बेच दिया, शिपयार्ड बेच दिया, सब कुछ बेच दिया। अब आम आदमी का डेटा भी आपने बेच दिया। एक सीधा सा सवाल है कि अगर ये डेटा सार्वजनिक हो गया, हमारा जो पर्सनल है, क्यों? रहा तो गवर्नमेंट के प्रोटेक्शन में, तो दोषी तो गवर्नमेंट है। और फिर अगर लीक नहीं हुआ आप कहते हो, तो जांच किस बात की करा रहे हो? इसमें पूरी तरीके से एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय नियमों का उल्लंघन हुआ, दूसरा भारत के संविधान प्रदत्त निजता के आधार की गारंटी का उल्लंघन हुआ, और इसके लिए मैं दोषी मानता हूं होम मिनिस्ट्री को, एनआईटी को।
And coming up next, a truly shocking image from a beach in Texas at a time when US presidential hopefuls are trying to lecture India on climate change and pollution. This horrific scene in a beach in the Gulf of Mexico in Texas. What happened to these millions of fish? We'll tell you next.
Quality today. In Delhi, 203. In Mumbai, 82. In Kolkata, 87. In Bangalore, 35. In Chennai, 23. In Hyderabad, 60.
understanding of lifestyle diseases? That's the big question.
The only news channel to focus on what matters the most, and that is your health. India's news TV industry's only health show. India Today's relentless effort to bring to you the best reports and the best medical and wellness experts on health, lifestyle, wellness and more. Watch Health 360 with Sneha Mordani at these times, only on India Today.
At a time when many US presidential hopefuls are lecturing India and other countries about global warming, climate change, pollution and other things, this image has gone completely viral from a beach in Texas. Thousands of dead fish washed up, millions in fact of dead fish washed up on a Texas Gulf Coast beach this week, blanketing the shore with millions of smelly fish carcasses. Well, other social media videos and photos show piles of mostly small fish coating this beach's edge. A closer look shows that there are many other marine wildlife as well, including rays and small sharks. Officials said warmer water, which cannot hold as much oxygen as cooler water, was to blame for the mass fish deaths. Another reason for the lack of oxygen is the water is cloudy, skies blocking microscopic phytoplankton or microalgae from photosynthesis, and these fish are basically filter feeders. So no food and no oxygen means certain death. Well, crews have begun the removal process but will need the tide to recede several more feet before all these millions of fish can be removed. Authorities are calling it a perfect storm of conditions that led to these deaths. But let nobody lecture you about how global warming isn't a truly global phenomenon. Climate change is real, weather change is real, pollution is real. And these pictures are evidence and testimony of that. This year marks the 21st World Day Against Child Labour. A reminder that child labour practices are an affliction and continue to be a real problem, as 160 million children are still engaged in child labour and almost 1 in 10 children are exploited around the world. Here's a report by my colleague Vaishnavi Gerwar.
160 million children are still engaged in child labour. Almost 1 in 10 children exploited worldwide.
आए घर पर तो कोई पढ़ाई तो हम नहीं किए, सिर्फ काम करते।
बहन की शादी करनी थी, पैसे नहीं थे तब आया था बहन। फिर पैसे कमा कर लेकर जाता घर तब शादी होती।
8 से 10 बजे तक काम करता था और हफ्ते में 50 रुपये मिलते थे। हाथ में भी जल गया, बहुत सी दिक्कतें होती थी, धूप में भी काम करना पड़ता था।
This year marks the 21st World Day Against Child Labour. A reminder that child labour practices are a severe problem, that scores of children are still being robbed of their childhood and forced into working in hazardous conditions.
In the Himalayas, I saw kids carrying stone on their backs that weighs more than their own body weight. I witnessed many young people working, stacking numerous bricks on their heads when they should really be in school.
ये दर्द कितने दिन से है तुम्हारे?
3 साल।
3 साल से दर्द है। तो वहाँ पे तुम मालिक को नहीं बताते थे कि हमारे पैर में दर्द होता है?
मालिक को बताते थे फिर।
Children are subjected to unimaginable trauma.
It's a mafia, you know. There is the whole world is sort of, there's a dark side in the world which abuses children.
Almost 1 in 10 children today is trapped in this web. Only a few are able to see the light.
We always used to move
one place to another place for working and survive our life. Kailash ji was heading one of the march. It's called Shiksha Yatra. I remember like I was rescued when I was about like 6 years old. We were working at a like telephone line.
Activists have been involved in operations trying to free children from confinement, but it's not that easy.
फैक्ट्री में हमें पता है कि इसमें चाइल्ड लेबर, लेकिन एंट्री नहीं मिल सकती इजीली, क्योंकि वो गेट बंद है, केमिकल्स वहाँ बन रहा है, उनके गार्ड्स वहाँ खड़े हुए हैं। तो हमारे लोग कई बार लेबर बन के वहाँ महीनों तक काम भी करते हैं। हम लोग जो है आइडेंटिफिकेशन पे पहले हमारा फोकस होता है, फिर उसको क्रॉस चेक कराने के लिए रेकी वाली एक अलग टीम होती है जो रेकी करने जाती है, फिर उसके बाद रेस्क्यू का एक डे डिसाइड होता है। ये नहीं, उसमें भी हम बहुत ज़्यादा डिले नहीं करवाते हैं। हमारी रिक्वेस्ट ये रहती है कि साहब एज सून एज पॉसिबल, क्योंकि उस बच्चे के लिए एक एक मिनट कीमती है। या कई बार हमारे लोगों पर जैसे अटैक हो जाता है, आइडेंटिफाइड हो जाते हैं हमारे लोग, उन पर अटैक कर दिया जाता है। ये सारे चैलेंजेस के बाद भी फिर भी लोग, हमारी कोशिश है कि हम उनको रेस्क्यू कराते रहें।
Childhood is made of memories, of schools, of friends, summer breaks and loving parents. But there are lakhs of kids who are still trapped in exploitative conditions. Next time you're called Chotu for a cup of tea, think about that. Bureau Report, India Today.
Ahead of the TV premiere of his blockbuster movie Pathaan, the superstar made a rare appearance from the balcony of his home after nearly 300 of his diehard fans stood with their arms outstretched in his iconic romantic pose outside Mannat, thus creating a unique Guinness World Record.
Shah Rukh Khan. One man, billions of followers.
Follow करूं Twitter पे टैग करूं Facebook पे तेरे क्विज में Google को बीट कर दिया।
His craft has transcended borders and his humility makes him the man that he is today. While the actor has a packed schedule, he's known for taking time out and greeting his fans through his balcony appearances during Eid or his birthday. But this time, as he stepped out, it was for the world television premiere of his blockbuster film, Pathaan.
मोहब्बत करनी है, हमने मोहब्बत की है, इस दिल के अलावा किसी से भी ना हमने इजाजत ली है। हुनर है ये भी इश्क का, किसी किसी को आता है, जान लुटा के दुश्मन की हमने हिफाजत की है।
While he did that, more than 300 of his fans gathered outside his house and struck SRK's iconic open-armed pose to create a Guinness World Record. This special gesture made this Siddharth Anand directorial extra special. Pathaan had stormed Bollywood after it became Shah Rukh Khan's only film to release in 4 years. While the stakes were high, this film came and shattered all the records. Pathaan also starred Deepika Padukone and John Abraham in pivotal role apart from Shah Rukh Khan and earned over 543 crore rupees in ticket sales across the country.
पूछता है वो देश के लिए क्या कर सकता है? जय हिंद.
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
And don't miss 6 p.m. Prime with Akshita right after this break. The main accused in the UP online gaming jihad. The conversion case has been nabbed from faraway Maharashtra. He apparently would get minors to play those games and then convert them and ask them to offer namaz. The scary details with Akshita next.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 44 and minimum 29 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 40 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 30 and minimum 24 degrees. Chennai, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 38 and minimum 27 degrees.
Sorry.